John Show. JDR News Live.
The human brain is made for thinking, not pubic experiment. It's hardly a tinker toy or experiment. Not pubic with drugs.
Why do we talk about marijuana? It's the single biggest drug that is a source of some confusion.
This is really about educating the public about the fact that marijuana is a less harmful drug.
Marijuana, that's to get high.
You can be as high as you want.
The prohibition of marijuana over the last 71 years has not actually prevented you from using marijuana.
If you're close,
Sure to winning the war on drugs.
I do believe there have been some successes.
we will never arrest our way out of this problem.
Welcome to JDR News Live. I am your host, John Doe. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. It is a Wednesday here in the Mile High City. Hopefully it's a fantastic day or evening wherever it is that you are at. It is the 9th of December. Thanks for hanging out with us again, like I said. Been missing here for a few days here the past week. I apologize for that. Had some headache issues that were making me absolutely miserable and sick as hell, but that's neither here nor there. We have a ton of stuff to catch up on today. In fact, so many news stories that I guarantee we're not going to get to all of them. I'll read all those news stories and the prospects of what we shall be maybe getting into later on today. Big thanks to the JDR Army. You, the listeners of the John Doe Radio Show, couldn't do the show without you. Always got to thank you first and foremost. Also, big thanks to our sponsors here on the John Doe Radio Show, the people that make this possible. We absolutely could not do this, or anything we've ever done on JDR without their support. Weedbiz.net. Make sure you holler at our good friends over at Weedbiz.net. They provide the server space for us to host our audio files, host our website. They also have some awesome grow pods, cannapods. If you head to our website, johndoeradio.com, you don't have an ad blocker on. They're on the right side of our page. The sponsors pop up there, and you'll see the cannapods advertisement. Click on that, or you can just go to weedbiz.net and find out what you need to know there. Also, some awesome Southern cannabis news there. All sorts of other great stuff there. Big thanks to our good friends over at Your Graphics, URGRAFIX, Your Graphics. On Facebook, holler at them. Tell them that JDR sent you. Jessica Trim over there, fantastic company that she's started. Fantastic graphics, super creative. If you give her an idea of where you're looking to go with what you're trying to put together, she'll take care of you. And last but not least, the JDR News brought to you by our good friends over at USA Cannabis Consulting. If you're looking for someone to help guide you through this cannabis industry, help guide you through regulations, not only just here in Colorado, mind you, lots of states that they're involved with, holler at them. They can help you. It's almost impossible sometimes to guide yourself through this industry and be successful with figuring out regulations and not having to reinvent the wheel unless you have someone on your side that can help you work through that. USA Cannabis Consulting can help you do that. They can also help you build out your space if you need construction work done, like a front end of your store to be built. You need an extract facility to be built. They'll help take care of you. Tell them John Doe Radio sent you. Kyle and all the good guys over there. Fantastic, good people, very knowledgeable. And like I said, they'll take care of you and answer those questions that you have, the important ones that help us all get to the point that we're trying to get to, and that's make some money. Right? So right. What happened to the work to do bed there? It didn't feel right going into anything but work to do. Let me search for that. Get that back up in here. All right, there we go. We'll come back to the DJ Mustard. How about that? All right. Again, thanks for hanging out with us here on the John Doe Radio Show. We got fantastic news up for you. Let's get them lined up, huh? What do you say? Hit your boat.
You're now listening to Illit Beats.
Hoo-yah! Gotta do my Chinese warm-ups here. seems like I'm a little bit rusty after taking these few days off. Cobwebs inside the dome, not coming off the easiest. That's all right, we'll get through it. Today on JDR News Live, Canada legalization. News about that, as we talked about last week a little bit. More of me just playing devil's advocate on the situation in Canada. Basically telling our Canadian flapperhead friends to stay on it. Stay on top of Justin Trudeau to make sure that legalization goes through, and the promises that he made to be able to get elected are the promises that he keeps. We do have news on that. Also, the Emerald Cup, awesome competition going on in California, starts up, I think, tomorrow, if I'm not miscorrect. I don't know, I just brain farted right before I started talking about it. Our good friends over at the Adam Dunn Show, Mitch and Adam, had this Tim dude who started up the Emerald Cup. Fascinating guy. He's wrote a book. Not only the book, but the stories that he has to be included in the book, including this one story he just told on the Adam Dunn Show, which, by the way, is available at adamdunnshow.com. You can go listen to it after you listen to the JDR Show. Or pause this, go listen to them, and then come back. It's good friends, Mitch and them over there. Anyway, the story about him getting tied up and all this crazy stuff. Emerald Cup been going on for about 12 years. Pretty much the premier cannabis event in California, if not competing against the cannabis cups throughout the nation that High Times puts on. You can argue that it is possibly gaining more prestige than High Times cups have. Now, on a popularity level, it may not be the case. Your High Times cups are obviously huge and all over the country. But something about this industry that, it's kind of different than a lot of other industries. And maybe this will change over a period of time. But these cups... hold on here, let me turn this down. You have other industries and other awards that are given out to companies and products and people, and it seems like it's this sort of commercialized product that's being handed out to them, that it's something that maybe they didn't necessarily deserve, and is a popularity contest, but it involves a lot of money and influence because of the amount of product that you sold. I don't know, with our industry, we still kind of haven't reached that specific point yet. I don't think that... I don't know what I'm trying to get to, I guess, with this. The overall value of these cups is definitely going up, and the overall value of what we place in certain competitions. Like, let's try and cut this short and get to the point with what I'm saying here so that it makes sense to you. Let's compare, say, like, for instance, specifically what we're talking about here, the High Times Cannabis Cup and the Emerald Cup. The High Times Cannabis Cup, you could say, for a long time, was this underground competition, and now it's become in some eyes the commercialized sort of version of what our cannabis industry is. Still underground quite a bit, and still a fantastic competition, still a great place that I love to see a lot of my friends, and it's gaining steam more and more and more, and who knows how this will change up. And I'm not pigeonholing anybody here, I'm just kind of giving an example. These prestigious, I guess, is what the word I'm looking for specifically for all this, is that luckily our industry holds in high regard our culture and the way that we sort of behave and the way that our events are held, and that whole inviting everybody over for the Thanksgiving turkey, or if you don't have a place to stay on Christmas, and I'll pass you this joint here, you would need a bowl, I've got a bowl, you don't have one. That kind of sharedness and awesomeness that we do have as a community, and it kind of folds over into keeping ourselves into check with a lot of things, because we've had to be so underground for so long. It's not like this situation where people are dying, where we have to be super afraid and have a ton of responsibility on ourselves, besides not getting other people in trouble or narking on another person. It's just a situation to where we've created this insanely awesome culture that we're involved with, and we get to be a part of because we've created. And it's really cool. And it follows through, obviously, to the events that we hold. And the reason why there are so many cannabis cups that I feel throughout the United States and throughout the world, really, I shouldn't just say the United States when we're talking about these cannabis competitions, because it happens all over the world. And the cool thing about that is, like I said, it's carried over into these cups, and these cups have sort of, been to where people can pat themselves on the back, to where it's sort of like local competitions, and it's just prestige, really, when it comes down to it, is to hold this awesome prestige and not so much an award to be given. I'm talking about an award like a monetary value, a trip, some of the things that we have maybe suggested that should become part of these cannabis awards, a cash prize, or a trip to Jamaica, or a cruise, or whatever it may be, a bong, which is becoming more and more of a popular choice to be able to give out as an award, is a custom rig made by a really awesome artist, which is cool and all. But for the most part, it's been just the prestige. The only thing that the person's kind of getting out of it, and it's not really true necessarily with the High Times Cannabis Cup, or I guess any given cup, you could argue, if someone places first and they're like a seed company or they're a dispensary, something like that, then it can boost their sales, and it probably is going to boost their sales an extreme amount. For instance, if you win the U.S. Cannabis Cup here, or if you win the cup in Seattle, wherever you're at, I'm sure it's going to boost your business. It's, one of the big reasons that people put so much money into it. But a lot of the times, these people are putting a ton of money into it and aren't necessarily guaranteeing themselves, a cash prize or an investment into our community, besides the feeling of prestige of winning an event, placing in the top 10, placing in the top 20. For instance, this Emerald Cup, it's so freaking huge, and they have so many freaking entries that it's really unfathomable, if I can say that word right, unfathomable. Hey, we went a pretty good amount of time there without stumbling over one of my words. I may have to go back and check the record on that, because who knows? I got to talking there and all caught up with what I was saying, a million words a minute. Calm down, slow down. It's really unfathomable. How do you say this damn word? Unfathomable. I don't know how I've survived being a radio show host as long as I have with the enunciation issues. Anyway, it's just a massive undertaking to get yourself on with. I mean, 400 or 500 entries, if I remember right, on what they said that the amount of entries that were being put into this cup, and like 80 edible entries or something like that also, which is pretty crazy too. And they've learned, as Tim was saying on the Adam Dunn show today, that they've learned to give the people that are testing the edibles an extreme amount of time to be able to, have that intake. Which, by the way, here, we should be able to get to it today. I almost forgot. Can't forget about this, but I do have a review on the Incredibles products that Incredibles hooked us up with. It's fantastic products, speaking of edibles. And having... That was weird. This thing almost unplugged there. Sorry about that. Producing the show as we're talking. And having, this box of edibles kind of being given to me. Oh, there's the want to do. I had it in the wrong place is what's wrong with it. All right, because I had the edibles and they gave us a box to it, I understand having to use your time wisely and getting out a review and getting out your responsibility for a company out there quickly. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to kind of get all these products reviews out at the same time, but, I also understood that when you take an edible, there's kind of this, I don't know, I think for judging purposes, you kind of have to give it at the very least, like a 12 to 24 hour turnaround time before you have another edible. I mean, that's just the crazy thing, and what I'll talk about here, we'll get to this here in a minute. We got news to get to, so yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is, edibles affect everybody differently. Cannabis affects everybody differently. Weed, extracts, edibles, all of it. I did experience the super launch you into outer space edible high, though, with the Winter Mint Bar. I think I explained that last week. It was probably the highest that I've gotten off of any edible in my entire life, which I attribute completely to a few different things. Number one, perfect type of situation that my tolerance was down so low that I hadn't really smoked or hadn't really had any cannabis intake for like a week, maybe not quite a week before this, but a good enough amount of time. And even if it was, or it wasn't a week, there was still, no discernible, it was negligible use for the past like week and a half, 2 weeks. So it was something definitely to where a big dab, a couple dabs, a really good edible was going to launch me into outer space. And I was going to be flying super high. And I super enjoyed it. It was fantastic. So, all right. Anyway, we'll get to that here in a second. We got, like I said, news to get to. Again, thanks for hanging out with us here on the John Doe Radio Show. Live Monday through Friday, 6 o'clock. Trying to keep that schedule as close to legit as possible, which we've been pretty good at it. So, and just remember, it's only me right now. Strictly 100% pure John Doe at this point. So it would be fantastic if we had a team of like 2-3 people. I could just toss the football to, be like, hey, host this for me this afternoon, man. Justin Trudeau raised eyebrows when he admitted to having dabbled. That's like the third time I've read that, and read it as dabbed. It would have been incredible if Justin Trudeau, on his first day in office, takes a dab in front of the whole parliament. Is that what it's called there? I don't even know. All right, yeah, I think it is parliament. Yes, it is. I'm just kidding. It's parliament. That would be awesome, though, if you're like, bitches, I got to flip out this dab here. Heat up this nail, glowy style, and just fark all your couches. He's part of Glow Squad. Damn, you got no chill, Justin? No chill. Big old cloud of smoke, puff, and vapor just fills up Parliament. I mean, that room doesn't seem like it's that big of a room that they do their business in. It really doesn't. I mean, you got like Congress and the Senate here in the United States in this huge, massive room, where like people are spread out. You look at pictures of some other places where, they're doing business and making laws and leaders are getting that dang old thing done. You look at it and it's like, these bastards are fit into there like an airplane sardine can. Hey, literally, it's crazy. So if Justin Trudeau were to take a dab in there, just blow it out, there'd be some secondhand smoke certainly going on down there. Down where? I have no clue. He admitted to having dabbled in marijuana while a member of parliament, but his pledge as prime minister to legalize pot has been broadly cheered. By the way, just for the record, just in case you're super high and you don't want to get lost here, he did not dab in parliament. He dabbled in cannabis while in parliament, not while actually in the building, okay? I don't want to confuse anybody with that. I apologize we got into it that much. He said in a policy speech last Friday that his Liberal government would introduce legislation as early as 2016 to legalize marijuana, making Canada the first in the G7 bloc of industrialized nations to do so, although precise details remain sketchy. 2 in 3 Canadians support decriminalizing possession and use of mind-altering weed, according to recent polls. Support is widespread and its highest level in 3 decades. Even though cannabis use has fallen off, details of the Liberal plan haven't been released yet. However, it is unexpected to go much further by not only legalizing marijuana, but also creating regulated market for it, as Uruguay and a few other U.S. states have done. An estimated 1 million out of Canada's 35 million regularly smoke marijuana, according to the latest survey taken in 2014. I'm always surprised by the numbers that are given for not only Canada, but for Mexico, too. I guess not necessarily New Mexico. Just chopped them off and gave them to Mexico there. I guess not necessarily Mexico, as we've talked about before, because how many people are afraid of the drug war there and aren't going to admit to being a part of the drug war or using drugs or any shiz like this. But our Canadian flabberhead brethren really have no excuse to not report that type of situation of smoking weed. Like, hell yes. Do you smoke weed? Yes. Sex? Yes. Oh, wait, no, male. But seriously, the numbers always surprise me coming from Canada, and it's most likely because, I don't know, if there's anybody of our Canadian friends out there or anybody that knows, is it because, like, the East, like, if you were to chop Canada in half, is it like the left side, you got your west side, who's kind of more pot smoker-ish? You know, especially you got super southwest side of Vancouver, you know, and then your east side that really doesn't toke a lot at all and is super French and super oui, oui, you no smoke. That was horrible. I think that's the type of situation. I think that's what we're dealing with in Canada. And that might be a big cause because of the numbers. Also might be because most of living creatures in Canada are caribou. Trudeau admitted in 2013 to having smoked pot 5 or 6 times in his life, including at a dinner party with his friends since being elected to the parliament. An estimated, we already read that. He also said that his late brother Michael was facing marijuana possession charges for a tiny amount of pot before his death in an avalanche in 1998, and that this influenced his decision to propose legalizing cannabis. Damn. That's crazy. Can you imagine that? I mean, that's another example of how cannabis, you don't really give a shit about cannabis laws a whole lot. Some people don't. I'm sorry if I put you in that category, and that does not qualify yourself in that category. But, you know, someone that has, like, cancer and is looking for every way possible to give their loved one relief, or you're busted because of some stupid situation that you never thought that you were ever going to be in your entire life, and now you're sitting here in it, and then your loved ones see that and they're involved with it. You know, it's very hard sometimes to get people super involved into a situation unless they've either gone through it themselves or had somebody that's very, very close to them go through it. They have to be sold on this situation. They have to be kind of put in a point. They have to be forcibly invested into that train of thought, I guess is one of the best ways to put it. And it's sad that that's the way that it has to be, you know? And then on the other hand, you also have some people who, just because they see how bad the drug war is, how much damage that it causes, which, when I say how much damage the drug war has caused, we just have absolutely no clue. We haven't even started to begin to look at the damage that the drug war has caused to this point. I mean, it's so insane, and it's hard to say that, you know, it's hard to say that everybody has been... No, it's not hard to say that everybody has been affected by the drug war in some way or another, because everybody has been affected by the drug war in some way or another. But for the purposes of what I'm explaining here, you have to be literally directly affected for it to affect you, because it's affected so many people around you. Around us. Does that make sense to you? It's because it's become such a big non-issue that is swept under the carpet. It's like, okay, we all know it's going to change, but it's one of those issues that I don't know how to change it, and as little old me going to be able to change it. I don't know, Mommy. I don't know how to do it. And so then when it really hits you in the face with a brick, that gets your ass up and makes you forcibly push for change. Or you could be in a state like here in Colorado or in California where it's really easy to get directly infected into the industry. Or injected is the word I mean, into reform and making different laws and making changes to laws. Because you have a bunch of people that are helping you be involved with that. It's a pack mentality. But I can understand how in other states that it's just absolutely not like that. Not even close. It's really hard to get involved because you get that idea of like, man, I know it needs to be changed, but I don't know how to directly and effectively change it. And that's where the internet comes into play, and that's why it's such an important tool and been such an important tool for us to make changes in reform and getting the message out. All right, enough of that anyway. But having someone like Justin Trudeau, with his brother dying, facing charges of cannabis, and then passing away. And here's a good example. This is a fantastic example right here. One of the things, the many, many things that killed me when we lost Jenny Cush, if you don't know who she was, I'm amazed. But if you don't know who she was, she's a fantastic person here in Colorado, cannabis advocate, one of my best friends, a lot of people's best friend. But she was killed by a drunk driver coming home from a concert one night. And the majority of the time that people knew Jenny, she was on felony probation for dealing some cannabis up in Montana. And not necessarily everybody knew that, and not necessarily everybody knew that she really didn't smoke she didn't smoke any cannabis. Didn't have any intake because it would have violated her probation, and she was working her ass off, being good on felony marijuana probation and not using cannabis to work off that felony. So she'd end up with a decent deal of, if you go 5 years on probation for this felony, then we'll go ahead and don't get into trouble the whole time. We're going to wipe this off your record. So she's sitting here working her ass off and being good this whole time. And it's not necessarily for nothing, but it really felt harshly. And it was really another stab right to the chest to know that when she passed away, that she was so close to getting off, I think months away from being off of felony probation and having the ability to use cannabis again, but dying while she was on felony cannabis probation. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it makes little sense to have to, when you especially put it in that perspective, it makes absolutely no sense. I mean, it's just crazy. It's wasting time in our life, and it's taking away freedom from you that shouldn't be taken away. There should have been a lot of time before she passed away that she should have been able to partake in with us and been able to use cannabis and enjoy cannabis and enhance her life how she wanted to. In whatever way she wanted to. If it was some other drug, or if it was cannabis, or it was going out and riding a roller coaster, or going to a concert, or baking, which she did a ton of. Growing, doing tattoos. I mean, all these things. If you'd like to use cannabis, that should be a part of your life. And nobody should get in the way of that. Period. It's what if the Mexican courts can get this correct and rule exactly on that point right there, that it's not our responsibility to step in the middle of you in cannabis use, and if that's something that you choose to enhance your life with, and as a lifestyle choice, that's what you want to go with, then we're fine with it. Mexico made that decision. But But anyway, that story, and that goes hand in hand into saying what Justin Trudeau changed his mind about wanting to legalize. So his brother facing charges in 1998, and then he passes away. Trudeau says, "I'm not someone who is particularly interested in altered states, but I certainly won't judge anyone else for it. I think that the prohibition that is currently on marijuana is unjustified." In 2014, there were just under 104,000 police-reported drug incidents in Canada. Of these, 66% were related to cannabis, primarily for possession, according to the official statistics in Canada. Police chiefs have urged legislative change, allowing them to hand out fines for small amounts of pot possession instead of laying criminal charges to reduce the policing and court costs, and to do away with such convictions affecting Canadians' travel, employment, and citizenship. I feel like I'm in a European dance club whenever this one comes on. Like we could be in Amsterdam right now, dancing in a club. I don't know really, because I've never really been to Amsterdam or across that part of the ocean. So I guess I'm just assuming here. But really, it sounds like something that would play in an Amsterdam club. All right, let's finish this story. We're never going to finish the news at this rate. My boob itches. People on the camera are like, why does it keep itching his nipple? I don't know, it just itches. He says, this isn't about... University of Ottawa criminologist says this isn't about making cannabis more available to smoke. It's about dealing with a bad prohibitionist model that has led to global carnage. This article just continues to go on and on and on. By the way, if you would like to get this article or any of our other articles that I pick up, they're always found in Google News. Just type in marijuana and then click on the news tab, and then there's fantastic news that comes up under there, including the top news stories. You can... If you don't know how to use Google, then why am I explaining it to you now? You're going to be lost for life. Anyway, this article continues on to talk about more statistics, what the plan is, and really nobody really knows what legalization is going to look like currently. They're drafting those rules and shiz right now. All right, we got to get rid of this. Let's get back to the Emerald Cup for a second. I have a news article here I wanted to get to. Some 12 years ago, Tim Blake decided that California was producing such good cannabis that the regional cultivators deserved their own competition. So Mr. Tim Blake went ahead and founded the Emerald Cup, which has become California's most anticipated cannabis event over the past decade. The event's designed for cultivators and other producers to show off their cannabis goods alongside the best options in the world. Unlike other cannabis competitions that happen all over, the Emerald Cup recognizes that competitive entries are from some of the best cannabis growers on the planet, so the event carries with it a deep respect for these cultivators, extractors, and edible makers. And when you're listening to Tim talk in interviews, or when I was listening to him talk in the Adam Dunn interview, I should say, because that's the only one I've ever heard. But you can hear the respect that he gives towards the growers, and you can kind of understand through the talking and through that prestige I was mentioning earlier why this has become an event that's so coveted and why it's become such a popular event. I mean, when you have... That's just I can't even... Like I said, the amount of entries is staggering for this event. Like 400 or 500 different entries. Jeez, man. And then that gets whittled down and broken down into like the top 50. And then the top 50 go down to the top 20. And then the top 20 are down to the top 10. And then like Tim was saying in the interview, if you're making it into the top 10 in a competition like this, specifically the Emerald Cup, you've done a fantastic job, and you should just throw in your hat there and give up, walk away. Be like, bitch, I just got top 10 in the Emerald Cup. I'm done. I'm out of here. Why pressure luck again? I mean, because you got to think about it. It's sometimes some of these competitions are luck. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you get the collective conscious together, and we're not necessarily going to make the right choice every single time. There's that top 10 that we probably end up getting right, but who knows, man? That 1, 2, 3, 4, even the top 5 could be negligible. You may maybe very little noticeable difference out of that. What I'd really like to start seeing is the tests come out before these damn samples are given out to judges. That's the first thing that needs to be corrected in any of these competitions, and I can't believe hasn't to this. Well, what am I saying? Can't believe to this point. We still consider these competitions to be underground, and regulators here in Colorado that's supposed to be like number one, top of the line watch industry can't even get the damn thing right. So we can't even find places here in Colorado for people to bring their weed to have it properly tested. So what are we trying to say that other people in underground type competitions are going to be able to get it done? Because here in Colorado, here's another thing about testing, is that you have to have a cannabis license to be able to bring your cannabis to one of these testing facilities. Like me or you can't go buy weed and then bring it to one of these licensed testing facilities and say, hey, I want to have this shit tested. So, and how the Denver Post and other people have gotten this done is they've just had other licensed companies go do it for them. So they're like, hey, we pick this out. You guys send that in for testing and send us back the results so we can report on it. It's not like the Denver Post went and bought a bunch of weed and said, hey, test this for us. That is not legal. All right, back to this Emerald Cup. This is from SmokeReports.com. That last one we were reading about Justin Trudeau, I skipped over the whole point in me talking about where to find that, and the Google shiz was you could find it. It's anyways a Yahoo News story. So just find the one from today if you want to read the rest of it. Smoke Reports, who did this story, thanks to them, loves to attend these type of events in order to document the growth of the cannabis industry, yet the Emerald Cup offers something even beyond the standard of cannabis competitions. The fact that this event is taken the most seriously by those producing the best cannabis brings it with it a feeling of sincerity. The cup truly does make you feel like you're a part of a multi-generational cannabis community. And then it talks about a bunch of exhibitors and people who are going to be there. And something else that's cool about it, as I was listening to the interview, it's in a fairground type situation. So it kind of gives this vibe, I'm sure, of this like county fair type blue ribbon competition, you know? I don't know, it just seems super fun to go to. It seems super well put together. And another important thing, if we want to talk about more about prestige of these events, is, you know, the people that go to these events, the type of people that enter them. I mean, that says a lot about the competition that you're going to or that you're involved with. Is if you have top of the line people in the industry putting their products towards your competition, I mean, that attracts other top producers in this community, and they all end up coming together, and they all end up, revolving around certain high-quality competitions. And some of them compete for a little while, and some of them stop. They get their awards, or they don't get their awards, and then it just kind of moves on. The baton's tossed to another round of cannabis growers. There's always companies coming up and down in this industry. And it's crazy how early we are, how in the baby years we are in this cannabis industry. Not only talking about the license facilities that are around and how many of them go away and pop back up, but I think the majority of the companies that entered into the Cannabis Cup, I know the majority, because the majority of them are Not in places where this is regulated to the point where they have business licenses even. Or I shouldn't say business licenses. They have business licenses, otherwise they may not be offering. But I'm talking about cannabis business licenses. And some of them probably don't even have business licenses. It's probably like underground blasters that have gotten to the point where they're, super artists and they're fantastic and they're good. But still, I mean, if you're not doing what every other business is doing around you, paying those taxes, you're still an underground type situation. This is still a mixed bowl we're at here, involving those people that are legit by the state, quote unquote, with this crazy weird license, this imaginary force of a document that says you're good, and then in other states that don't necessarily have that document, you can still be good there too. I don't know, whatever. I tried to pull that around and save that from diving face first into the earth, but we didn't do the greatest job of pulling that one up. You just drag on your stories too long, John Doe. That's really what you do, man. What's next here? Oh, yeah, Chile. Not chili as in chili food or chili as in cold, but chili as in Chile. That place in South America. It is in South America, right? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Chile has signed a decree to remove cannabis from the country's list of hard drugs. The decree also authorizes the sale of medicines containing derivatives of the plant. Document has not officially been published, but the Associated Press obtained a copy ahead of the formal announcement. Under the law, the sale of cannabis, as well as planting and transporting it, will still be illegal and to carry a prison sentence of up to 10 years. Chile's Congress will now debate the legality of the drug and try to fix that, what we just talked about and mentioned, and could possibly relax the laws on medical and personal use. This comes after a Chilean municipality became the first in the country to legalize medical marijuana as part of a government-backed pilot program to help ease the pain of cancer patients. More and more news from other countries, other places doing fantastic things, try and help their people and the quality of life they try and give to this dang old people. Woo! Missouri, short story here. We'll see how far this gets, because I definitely don't think Missouri, maybe medical marijuana, which is what this is. Pro-pot activists have taken another step towards getting medical marijuana on the ballot in Missouri. I was talking about there medical marijuana, the chance of it passing in Missouri is pretty slim. Still in that damn state. Which is frustrating because there's even some of the wackest cannabis laws that have been passed in other states. So you would think that maybe Missouri, it's dumbfounding to me that everybody in the United States hasn't passed some sort of law. It just goes to show you how against cannabis a lot of people still are, and how centralized some of these people are in areas where, how heavy of voting, how centralized Republicans there are in some areas that can vote a certain way. Why it hasn't even got close. Why we have some of these basically null and void, we should call them, laws, Charlotte's Web quote-unquote laws that are in other states. You would think that compassion would have already gone through all 50 states, but it hasn't. And that's frustrating. Anyway, Missouri Secretary of State that approved the petition called for a constitutional amendment to legalize the drug for medicinal use. Now supporters have to get thousands, of valid signatures on that petition before it can be put to vote. I mean, I can understand how there's not legalization everywhere. But it just seems like, damn, we should have this medical marijuana situation figured out by now. And if you don't have some... never mind. Beating a dead horse. Stupid dang old thing there. Alright. So another Edipure recall, it seems. I tried checking the date on this news story to find out if this is something we've already talked about or if this is like the fourth now, I think. I tried to check myself, so there could be a 1% chance. Maybe more, I don't know. But I'm just stating for the record here. I don't know 100%, but I'm pretty positive. And the fact that I don't know and I'm not positive is scary as shit for Edipure. Because this may be like the 4th recall. And the fact that all these stories are starting to get jumbled together is pretty shitty for them. And like we talked about before, the shitstorm that they've created for themselves seems, I mean, these bastards got to have a ton of money to just throw away. Is all that comes down to it. Marijuana-infused manufacturing facility issued a voluntary recall Tuesday. And see, the date says December 8th, so that's yesterday. So this would have been Tuesday. So 99.9% sure this is a brand new recall. Unsafe pesticide recall in 35,000 units. That's how much Edipure said the recall affects. 23 gummy and hard candy marijuana products. I would search for Edipure recall 35,000 units to find the news story for this. Because if you have any of these products, or you know anybody that has any of these products, what I would do, period, end of story, if you have any Edipure, just throw it out, would kind of be my recommendation at this point, because how many units do they have out there? This could be just a small percentage of the units. But I'm not seeing any numbers of what percentage of their market share this actually is a part of. Anyway, point is, there's oil batch numbers, medical product batch numbers. When I'm basically talking, when I tell you to go to the Department of Revenue's website to look up these recalls or search the Google for, 35,000 Edipure recalls, is for you to look up the batch numbers for this, because you need to be well informed. And it's scary. I mean, this story is really getting to a point to where this is worrisome. And I started thinking more and more about how cannabis that is shitty has affected you before. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there's been times where I've smoked some not so great weed, or even some decent weed, and it just made you feel kind of weird afterwards. Not like the high, fun weird, but I'm talking about like it's not so great type of feeling. And who knows what that was attributed to? Maybe it was just that situation. Maybe that's just the way your body reacted to it. Or maybe there was some shit in there. Maybe there was some foreign pesticide that, affects your neurological system, which is what a lot of these banned pesticides do in humans. They would affect your neurological system. Give you some kind of weird tick or like a buzz. You're like, no, I'm not saying that that's ever happened. But there has been times where you just feel absolutely completely thrown off after you've smoked a bowl, or you just feel kind of off, or it tastes horrible, or you're like, what the fuck? I can't deal with this. I don't know, it's just scary. Hopefully for the sake of our own health, that we're seriously overreacting when it comes to some of these pesticides. Which could be the case. Not necessarily not the case. None of these things have been proved. I don't know. It's just scary. I can't tell you how worrisome it is. Also, part of the reason why I only approve of like 2 edible companies. It's Incredibles being one of them. Which we probably won't get to that review today. I'll get to that review tomorrow, and we'll throw down and talk about some Incredibles edibles that launched me into outer space, mamma jamma. Recalled products for Edipure included a variety of infused candy products. Contaminated hash oil was used to produce the Edipure candies, some of which tested positive for one or more of the following pesticides. I'm not going to read these off because, I don't know, they're big 10-point words, and really we don't need to read them off. Is it going to matter to you if I read these off? Really? if you are some sort of scientist out there that would understand these words and this affects you, then you should be researching this a little bit more than me. Go find them out for yourself, God damn it. I'm sorry, okay, that was rude. I won't say it again. I won't be rude. I won't talk to you like that again, all right? You don't have to shut us off. It's okay. I'm just saying, you should maybe teach yourself. Okay, I won't say it again. I'm sorry. Apologize. Rude bastard. Freaking idiot. Anyway, marijuana-infused candy was widely distributed to stores across the state. I would think so. 35,000 units. I don't even know how many total that is. That's over 50, 60, 70. I don't even know. Somewhere of upwards 50, 60, 70,000 units that they've had to recall total. I just wouldn't. I'd get rid of your Edipure. Period. End of story. Don't even think about it. Don't even worry about it. This is a fantastic story to get to. Maybe one of the last ones we'll get to today. I am enjoying talking to you. It's been quite a decently long break, longer than I anticipated here to not doing the shows. I looked down at the date, man. It was a week ago. A week ago today that we actually did a show. So, woo! It's just sometimes my ability to want to sit down and talk with you here and the ability to actually sit down and entertain you and have a monologue here. I doubt myself sometimes. See, like the beginning of today's show or any other given shows, sometimes we get a question of people that are like, hey, do you still get nervous when you get on the air? Fuck yeah, I get nervous. And the crazy thing is, the fewer the amount of people I know that are listening, the more freaking nervous I get. It's like the situation of you being your own damn worst enemy. You start thinking about it, all right, well, how can I do this better? I don't have a damn crowd to rely on to get feedback. I don't know what the hell it is. That's a weird situation, though. I was thinking that the other day. I was like, dude, it's really weird how the smaller amount of people that are listening, the more nervous you get. Some craziness. But yes, before the show, you kind of got to get into your little groove. And that's why I enjoy doing the show with Bike so much. Especially when we're clicking. Because it does. It just kind of click with each other. And you bounce back and forth. Like when me and Bike sit down and we have conversations, he's one of the easiest persons to have a conversation with. I think our back and forths, are intelligent. They're thought out. He has his own individual thoughts. And isn't just like a yes man. And I'm not necessarily just a yes man either. Like we actually have conversations about things. And they're not usually... I don't know, they don't seem like they're argumentative conversations. Maybe sometimes it comes across over the air because sometimes Mike does go a little bit over the top with giving you shit or pulling random things out of there, and then I go over the top with giving him shit back. Anyway, the conversations that we have on the side, though, I mean, it's a back and forth, a decent discussion that we have. And that type of situation is easy to fill time with when you get put on a mic and get on the air. So it's definitely feels a lot more comfortable when you have a co-host with you. And hosting radio show solo, easily one of the hardest things I think for anybody to do and to fill time with. I mean, it's like if you were doing a speech, which is it's crazy about like teachers or like college professors and shiz. These bastards have to have huge ass egos to go in there and talk in front of 300 people, for hours at a time, every single day, about just the dumbest shit. No, I'm just kidding. I guess there's a lot of facts that they're regurgitating there. It's not something that they're necessarily making up on the spot, and I guess we're regurgitating facts too, reading news stories. What I'm trying to tell you is this shit's not easy, okay? And yes, you still do get nervous. I want my mommy. Where's my pinky? But it's fun, and it's funner with the more people that are involved, I guess, is the whole point with all that. And if we can sit down and have fun and entertain you and have you be a part, why not stick with it? All right, what the hell am I talking about? Get back to this shiz. Michigan would create a tiered system for medical marijuana growers, distributors, and retailers under an evolving legislation up for likely vote in the Senate Judiciary Committee. Did this happen Tuesday, possibly? I haven't heard any news for this. If you got any update on this, let me know if you're from Michigan. Senator Rick Jones said Monday medical pot bills approved by the House earlier this year will be amended in his committee to prevent an owner from being licensed to operate multiple types of medical marijuana businesses. The state regulates alcohol in similar three-tiered fashion. Everything I've designed here is to make sure we don't have monopolies. Oh, excuse me. Ingestion there. Jones said, if we have a monopoly, then obviously they'll have monopoly prices. So I would think everyone would be on board with a system where we have people making different choices. But the pending amendment is drawing fire from patient advocates who argue that treating medical marijuana like alcohol will ultimately benefit established distributors, middlemen who could drive up prices. If you were to grow medical marijuana, you wouldn't be able to have ownership in retail or provisioning center, which paves the way for a distributor, said Robin Schneider, legislative liaison for National Patients' Rights Association. She argued that a vertically integrated company would be able to produce more affordable products for patients. That's not necessarily true. The NPRA has worked with lawmakers on medical marijuana legislation for years and generally supports the bills that passed in the House, but Schneider fears the dispensary bill is being expanded to anticipate eventual legalization of recreational use. You think? That's why most of these bills, and that might be the stall that we see in medical marijuana too. So people are like, fuck this. This is a farce. If we're going to do it, just wait till legalization goes through. That's probably far-fetched reason why people are not necessarily making that decision to flip medical. But this whole deal about how, let's see here, back to the story. The vertical integration part. If you were to grow medical marijuana, you wouldn't be able to have ownership in a retail or provisioning center, which paves the way for a distributor. So they're saying that they would rather have distributors and have that all broken up into, like they're talking about, three-tiered system than have things situation about be vertically integrated. Talking about this NPRA group, they're going to oppose the Senate legislation if it creates a tiered system similar to alcohol. It's really bad for patients. They say it's unfortunate. We were really hoping we could reach some sort of settlement or compromise. House Bill 4209, which won bipartisan support in the lower chamber, would create a system to regulate and tax medical marijuana dispensaries in communities that decide to allow them. The state would also license large-scale growers, processors, and distributors and testing facilities. Patients and caregivers would be allowed to grow a limited number of plants at home as authorized under the state's 2008 voter-approved medical marijuana law, but they would be prohibited from selling any overages to dispensaries. House Bill 4210 would allow and regulate medical marijuana edibles and other non-smokable forms of the drug, while House Bill 4827 would create a seed-to-sale tracking system for marijuana plants and processed products, basically putting in the same type of regulatory system that's been created here in Colorado, and that's being thrown up in Oregon. And they couldn't even get to in Washington because they farked their own couches and tripped over the cushions. They did it! It's funny because it's true! Dispensary legislation passed the House last year, but law enforcement groups trashed the package in the Senate, effectively killing it during the 2014 lame duck session, sponsoring Representative Mike Colton from Nashville in Michigan. It's Nashville in Michigan. Worked more closely with law enforcement groups, and he reintroduced his dispensary bill this session. Jones, a former sheriff, took the reins in the Senate. He hopes that the committee amendments will at least move prosecutors and police from opposed to neutral, which he considers a win. There was additional licensing restrictions that were requested by law enforcement community. And basically, the rest of the story talks about how getting law enforcement on board is much needed or the bill is dead in the water. It's crazy, man. Talks about here how the literally hours of testimony by police. This should be such, god damn it. It pisses me off so bad when police are allowed to testify. They're a paid government official that's... there should just be rules. There should be rules in certain type of hearings and environments where it's only a citizen. It's not a representative of any other organization. No shit like that. Just a plain old citizen getting up there, throwing down how they feel. Or at least somehow limit the ability for the police to get up here and talk about that. Say like they have a medical marijuana bill that's up for testimony. That's up to be able to be voted on by our representatives. They go through committees during this period of time. And usually these committees ask for the public's opinion, and the public is allowed to go to these hearings, and they sign up, and you get up there and you talk in front of the committee and give your view on this. We all know that the police are paid to give a certain point of view. So, fuck that, man. It's like having paid lobbyists inside those committee hearings. And generally, that type of shit doesn't happen. In fact, I don't even know if it's... I don't think it's illegal. It should be freaking illegal for that to happen. Maybe they do have lobbyists and all that shit within those committee hearings. I don't know. The point being, when I see who shouldn't be in there, it's the police. End of story. Even if it is legal for everybody else to be in there. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to hear your tales of ass hattery and sideways shiatsu. Especially when it comes to the drug war. God damn. I'm a little bit rusty on how my committee hearing meetings are ran. And who's allowed to talk and who isn't. Whatever. All right, that's an hour that we did here on the John Doe Radio Show. JDR News Live, I should say. JDR News Live daily. You guys got any questions in the chat room? Let's see here. The story that... Oh, yeah. The story that Tim from the Emerald Cup, yeah, that's what it is, told today on the Adam Dunn Show. If you didn't get a chance, go to theadamdunnshow.com. And, yeah, there's a story that he told, which, I mean, this is pretty much the whole story here. But the dude was tied up and thrown into a bathtub, and the dude was talking about how he was killing him, and he had knocked his friend. Anyway, I won't ruin it for you. It was just this crazy damn story about, like, the shady drug war days, man. I mean, thankfully, some of this shit we don't have to deal with in areas like Colorado, California, Oregon. It still exists. By no means am I going to say that it doesn't exist, because that would be denying some of the news stories that we've read right here. Talk about that person that got pistol whipped in Boulder. Or the guy that got murdered and then driven into a car 50 miles away and the car lit onto fire. I mean, shit still happens to where shady people are involved into this, but thankfully we're in these regulated areas, and what we're facing here in Colorado isn't the same as maybe what they are in unregulated areas and the black market. Mexico. I don't know. There's no beheadings. Cartel action going on here in Colorado, at least that I'm aware of. I think we would see that in the news if we were. Anything else in there? Tax dollars spent on imprisonment. Talking about that in the chat. Clarence, thanks for all the input. And yeah, we talked about the Michigan legalized 2016. Well, I guess that's a different... Michigan legalized 2016 is not exactly what we talked about. Where am I at? that would be a separate issue than the medical marijuana one. I do have more news stories. Nah, these are too big to get into. There is more news stories that are making their rounds about marijuana and your weight, which is a hugely popular topic, obviously. I don't think it's just with cannabis. You know, it makes it a little bit sexier, I guess, for this article to be spread around. But this news came out months ago that marijuana and what it does to your body and all that good stuff. Anyway, we'll probably get to that tomorrow. But the weight loss situation there, that's what's driving this story. You attach anything onto weight loss and it's going to be a leading... Weight loss and sex. It's like dudes or chicks sitting there with Kentucky Fried Chicken drumsticks in their hand and using the grease to help themselves out in the other while perusing YouPorn and weight loss articles. Trying not to cough here. You can tell my voice is a little bit hoarse too. Not coming in here and talking to you for the past week. Anyway, thanks to our sponsors on the JDR that make this show possible. Couldn't do it without you. If you'd like to join us here on our JDR team, if you'd like to have a product review, which, by the way, you can go to johndoerad.io, our website, most fantastic, I don't know, I was trying to make up a new word there. Anyway, most fantastic website name, johndoerad.io. And there's an article there about my review for the Incredibles products if you'd like to read that and find out for yourself how I felt about it. Or if you'd like to send us a product and have it reviewed, you can see the type of treatment that we would give it. An honest type of treatment. If I don't like something, I may say it's crap. Generally, though, you guys make some pretty fantastic products. Whether it be weed, edibles, glass, vaporizers, I don't know. You name it. You're the one that makes it. Tell me about it, and then I'll review it. Like, this product sucks. This product is great. See, this is why we can't keep doing the show, because we just lose steam. I'm kidding. The self-slamming humor is quite strong here on JDR with myself. It's really how I get by in life, the self-deprecating humor. It's definitely a way to go with life. Oh, yeah, what was I talking about? Anyway, if you'd like to join us here on the John Doe Radio Show, hang out. Holler at me, johndoeradio@gmail.com. We have fantastic times reviewing products here on the show and have a fantastic time doing the show. So if you continue to help us make that possible, we would hugely appreciate that. So it's a community thing, and you're part of the community, and we appreciate that. Even if you are part of the whole community as a whole and you're a hater of JDR, we still appreciate you then. Big thanks to our sponsors that make the John Doe Radio Show possible. Weedbiz.net. We wouldn't be able to have our website up and nothing like that without them. Weedbiz.net. Also, big thanks to our friends that designed our website. URGRAFIX.com. Yourgraphics.com. You can also hit them up on Facebook, which is the proverbial way of hitting them up. URGRAFIX on Facebook. And last but not least, the JDR News Daily, brought to you by our good friends. Wow, this is weird how this mic sounds differently in my headphones when I'm talking to it from different angles here. Head on. That's the way to go. Big thanks to our friends over at USACannabisConsulting.com. USACannabisConsulting.com. If you need a fantastic person, a fantastic company to be able to help you through this regulation process in any given state, just holler at them, ask them if they can help you out, and they'll give you an honest answer. Either they'll be able to help you out or they won't. If you need construction to be built out, they can help you with that too. Specializing, basically your all-inclusive, one-stop shop place to go for cannabis consultants. It's all right. It's all right. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you had fun. I did, as usual. Tell your friends about us. I'm gonna go smoke some more cannabis and eat because I'm starving. I'm not exactly sure what I'm smoking on. Some really chunky bud. Super, super dense, chunky bud. Beautiful trichomes on it. Smells super fruity, too. Crazy super fruity. Some of the fruitiest smelling weed I've had in a long time. And then some darker Earls, which taste really weedy, but it's great, fantastic, get you high type situation. Hopefully what you're smoking on is fantastic, too. Also, these edibles, man. Jeez. Since I've had access to these Incredibles, the edible kick has been awesome. And like I said, since my tolerance has been down, the edibles affect you a little bit more. It's definitely a lot funner situation to launch yourself in outer space. I made the mistake of, as I was really, really high and feeling on the edge of comfortability, I was like, fuck it. Let's go smoke. And there's something about, we'll have to get a scientist in here to sit down and talk with us about it, but it's the whole reason why Bike got launched into outer space with that THC patch. It was like he'd already packed himself with cannabinoids, the smoked kind, and then when he put on the patch, it just helped raise that water level. And the buoy and the boat I don't know how it works. But I don't know, adding that flood to the system of the, I don't know, either way, it just sent me into outer space and I got super high again. I don't know, I'm not a scientist. I just play one on radio. All right, that's going to do it. Probably say goodbye to you guys because this is getting absolutely nowhere. Have yourselves a fantastic day. Until we meet again, I might not be here tomorrow. I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the show. The Cannabis Business Awards are going on tomorrow. So I'm going to try and make it down there if I can get a ride. I'm going to head down there and say hello to some cool people and possibly accept Bike's award for MVP of the cannabis industry. MVP! MVP! So we'll see what happens. So we'll see you tomorrow or Friday, all right? Till we meet again, see you. I'm Tim.
Responsible marijuana reform.
Listening to anyone but your mother is just plain stupid.
We accept no responsibility for your actions or misrepresentations, and we do not fully endorse the use of illegal drugs. You are ultimately responsible for yourself.
Live.